Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at UFC 310, Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. I'm a little bit sick today. I've been a little bit sick the past few days, so forgive the croakiness of my voice. I've got a lovely beverage here in a Christmas mug. Nearly out of beverage. Just to keep the pipes lubricated, you know. Alright, we're going to start off with the first fight of the night. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lukas Brazeski. Brazeski? Whatever. Lukas Brazeski. We're going to go with Kennedy Nzechukwu. I think by KO. I think Lukas is getting fed to the wolves, to be honest. And I hope that's how you pronounce his name. It's going to be even harder for people to understand, you know, accents and Amil. Next up, Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. I'm a fan of Clay Guida. Like I'm quite a fan of Clay Guida. I like the blood and guts style. But I think this is a one-sided affair. I think Chase Hooper is very much capable of submitting Clay Guida. I think it would be his fight to lose. But I am going to predict Chase Hooper to submit Clay Guida. Next up, Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Two stinky poo fighters. Now, I always say stinky poo fighters make it near enough impossible to predict the outcome of the fight because they're both stinky poo and they don't do what you think they're going to do. You know, one could be a great grappler and for some reason he decides to box. You know, one could be a great boxer and he decides to grapple. So, you know, two stinky poo fighters do stinky poo things. Probably go with Michael Chiesa by decision. I think it's going to be a pretty boring fight. You probably go for a poop and miss this one. Not very entertaining in my opinion, but oh well. We shall see. Next up, Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. Now, Josh Van is like outsized for this fight, I'm fairly sure. Let me take a deeper look into this one. Let me take a deeper look while I sip from the Christmas mug. It is the season after all. That's some good apple juice. You've got to remember to consume liquids, guys. It's very important. Next up, we've got Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. In my notes, I've got Joshua Van is outsized. Let me take a look at the owl topology and take a look. He is indeed ever so slightly outsized. Cody Durden's powerful too, is the thing. But he makes silly decisions. No, I think Joshua Van's going to be too slick. I think Josh Van's going to be too slick for this one. I'm going to give this one to Josh Van. On to the next one. Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. This one was postponed. It was moved back to now. So here we are. I made my prediction last time. I'm fairly sure I picked Anders last time. Because I was like, fuck Weidman, he's old and whatnot. But you know what? I'm liking Weidman by Ipoh. So we're going to go with Weidman by Ipoh. And I made the same joke last time too. No, I am changing my pick. I'm going to go with Weidman. I don't know. I feel like they're going to let him cheat and stuff again. And to be honest, you know, who the fuck's Eric Anders, right? You know? Feels like maybe they're giving him kind of a little bit of a layup. But we'll see. We'll see. Next up, Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. I'm going with Battle. Randy Brown is by no means to be scoffed at, though. But I feel Brian's going to be better in most areas. And I think he probably pieces him up on the feet. So yeah, we're going to go Brian Battle. We're gonna go Brian Battle. That's what his voice is like. Next up, we've got Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. They're both typically decision merchants, so it's going to be a decision. The question is who wrestles better, isn't it? Are they going to do or will they do a Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig, and will they have a stand-up match the entire time? Right? Who knows? Who knows? Um, I'm going to go with Evloev. I do think Aljamain is more technically superior. I think he's got better technique on the ground, probably better technique getting to those positions as well. I just think Evloev overpowers Aljamain. I just think he's stronger, like a hell of a lot stronger. I think there's going to be a clear strength difference, and I think at some point the skill gets toppled by the strength difference. And a lot of the time where it's like a lot of the time where there's a guy who's got the technical skill, but he's not as strong, and he manages to pull off a slick sweep or some sort of cool technique to get himself the advantage in the grappling. And you're like, oh wow, I didn't expect that because he's not as strong as the other guy. I feel like that only comes when you underestimate, and it's Aljamain Sterling. So, you know, Evloev shouldn't be underestimating. So that kind of scenario shouldn't take place. I think Evloev just overpowers him. I think the strength is going to be a massive factor. Um, so yeah, I'm going to go with Movsar Evloev. Next up, Vicente Luque versus Thamba Garimbo. Thamba? Whatever. Thamba Garimbo. It's a tough one. Luque is more timid. I've said it before. He's super timid. Um, he had a bad. I've said it before. He had a bad head injury, and he's just not kind of been the same. And he's going against the guy that can hit hard. He can dominate in the wrestling too. Can Thamba Garimbo. Um, what do I have on my notes? Is the real question. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Thamba Garimbo. Uh, I think he hits really hard, and I think he's got some good grappling skills too. And even if he's not as skilled, or maybe if he's not as technical, I think Vicente Luque is probably scared of getting hit hard now. He doesn't want to. He knows how close he came to like career ending or maybe even life ending situation or scenario, and I think that's put the fear of God in him. Because these fighters are crazy, yeah, but like how often do they actually face death? Like that's a great look what it did to coming up later. Literally the next fight is Anthony Smith. Like he like sometimes things outside of the sport can traumatize you. And sometimes like consequences from the sport can traumatize you. And I think that's what happened to Vicente Luque. I think he got traumatized by nearly dying, which is understandable. And I just don't think he's the same since. I think he needs to go see like several sports psychologists or something. Get like an assessment. But yeah, I'm going with Grimbo. Samba Garimbo. Next up, Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. I had a joke written for this. It was. Let me get my notes up. It was Anthony No Heart Smith versus Dominic the Devastated Reyes. I'm gonna go with Reyes. Um, Smith's a quitter, and the UFC commentator boys club isn't going to convince me otherwise. Smith's a quitter. He quits. He accepts bottom position consistently, accepts bottom position when he gets taken down. He accepts being taken down once he's been taken down already. Like he just breaks down. You wear him down, and this I think this comes from the home invasion incident. So like Vicente Luque, I think some of these guys get traumatized and it changes them. And I think another guy that needs to go see a sports psychologist, I think he already has done and it hasn't helped. Maybe he needs to go see a better one. I don't know. Maybe he needs to go do ayahuasca in the mountains. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to go with Dominic Reyes. I think Anthony Smith just wilts under the pressure. Um, yeah, well, we're going to go with Reyes. Next up, Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi. You already know who I'm picking for this one, okay? I'm going with the train, Nate the Train Landwehr, okay? One of my favourite fighters. I'm definitely biased. I'm not going to give you any more justification than that. I'm picking Nate Landwehr. Terrible, terrible. So biased, so biased. Next up, main event time, main card time. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. I feel like it's a little bit obvious, but Bryce wins, right? The earth is flat. Satanists are attacking America and trying to steal their children. Kron isn't aware of any of this knowledge, so he's at a clear disadvantage. Nah, I think Bryce just stands up and beats him up standing. I think Bryce can survive and get back to his feet in the jits. Like, it's not a jits. It's not. You don't want to get into a jits game with him, right? You're just gonna stand up and punch him. Just stay standing and beat him up, and then Bryce Mitchell wins. So yeah, we're going Bryce Mitchell. Hopefully by a decision. Probably by a decision. Hopefully he doesn't go for the grappling. I don't think he needs to. I think he can just dominate standing. So that's what I hope he does. Yeah, we're gonna go with Bryce Mitchell. He knows the secrets of the universe. He knows the Earth's flat. He knows about the evil cabal trying to rule the world. He should know not to take a chance grappling with Kron Gracie. Simple, simple. Next up, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Controversial opinion. Gane isn't that good. He's good. He's an elite level, like what, ridiculously champ. What is he? Was he a champion kickboxer? I don't even know. He's ridiculously good, right? He's like one of the most fluid strikers in the UFC, and for a heavyweight as well. That's not something you come across often. But he just kind of knocks out fat guys. And then every time he comes across somebody like him, who is an upper echelon kind of fighter, he just kind of doesn't perform, right? Like, the blueprint there is there to beat Cyril Gane. Like, you just heavy wrestling game, smother his shots, press against them, keep them against the fence, work the body, short shots on the inside, get them down, and then you work from there. You keep wearing them down. Once you've got them down, you find the submission. Or you just control the position if you're Francis Ngannou. You go for the submission if you're John Jones. So the blueprint is there, is what I'm trying to say. So, surely Volkov could employ said game plan. Like, he's a cerebral guy, right? He reads, he watches the fight. Surely he did some sort of tape study, so he should see that there is a blueprint there to beat Gane, right? And as long as you're not just some short fat guy in the heavyweight division, then you should be able to implement this game plan and theoretically beat Gane, who I don't think has made any improvement to the areas of his game that need it since entering the UFC. I just don't think he cares. I think he knows he's got his. I think he's gone with the strategy of, I've got a skill set. I have this skill set, and I'm going to use it instead of trying to change my oil style. I'm just going to do what I'm good at, and that can work. That can work really well. That's not a diss. But yeah, I think that leaves him open. So yeah, I could see him going for the sub. Volkov's not a fool. He should wrestle. He should go for the submission. He should wear down Gane. He should try and avoid the dangerous areas by being closer than the dangerous areas rather than further from the dangerous areas, if that makes sense. So yeah, we're going to go with Volkov, hopefully by submission, because the blueprint, like I say, is there. If not, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Cyril could definitely TKO him. Like, I could see a KO for Cyril Gane, but no. Anyway, moving on before I continue to just ramble aimlessly. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian wife's lover's last name, Gary. Um, I'm gonna go with Gary. Um, I agree. I know everyone. I know most if not everybody's picking Shavkat. And I've always got to do something fucking crazy, haven't I, to try and distinguish myself from the rest. Um, I agree that Shavkat's better on the ground and in the grappling exchanges. I just see Gary being too hard to nail down. Like, I see Shavkat struggling with a lot of the takedown attempts, and I just don't see Gary letting himself get cornered or pinned against the cage very often. And I certainly don't see him getting tricked into letting a double leg or a single leg in the open happen. I just don't see it. No, I don't. I just don't see that happening. Um, I'm mostly basing this off the Shavkat Wonderboy fight. Is this theory? Um, because not that Ian and Wonderboy have the same style, but they're similar enough that you can compare. I think Gary's going to be constantly circling to the outside, sliding in and out of range, just scoring points and waiting to land bigger shots when the openings present themselves. Um, I mean, it took Rachmanov, I think it was 7 minutes. So the entire first round, where he did pressure against defense, yeah, but that entire first round he was trying to get a takedown and he didn't get it. And then it was 2 minutes into the second round that he got the takedown on Wonderboy, and then it was game over from there. But that's like a 40, 41-year-old Wonderboy, past his prime. Obviously still Wonderboy in moments, but past his prime. Um, and Wonderboy, a guy that never, another guy like Cyril Gahn, that was like, here's what I'm good at. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to do what I'm good at, and I'm going to play in positions where I can do what I'm good at and try and avoid the positions where I can't. And I think Ian Machado Gary is kind of the same, but I think he's fast enough and I think he's slick enough to kind of have Shavkat stun locked for a lot of the first round. As it goes on, the persistence wrestling obviously is a it's a cardio drainer. It's a battery depleter. Um, I just feel like Gary could sting him a lot in the time it takes to get taken down. And plus, Gary's got some jits. I'm not 100% on how good, how in depth his jits game is, but I'm fairly sure he's got some skills. So maybe some tricky sweeps. He's got some long limbs. Maybe a cage grab when he stands up. I also Gary is the outside. He's the underdog. Um, in this betting wise. So if you're a betting man, I don't think it's crazy to pick Ian Gary by a decision if he's got the cardio and possibly by a TKO. Like someone's always got to go, right? Shavkat's 18-0, all finishes, and Gary's 15-0, not all finishes. Um, so it's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Gary. Um, taking a chance, and I'm picking Gary. Um, you know, yeah, I like the idea that Gary is faster than Wonderboy, and if Shavkat has a hard time tracking down Wonderboy at the start when they're both fresh, like he had a hard time tracking down Wonderboy. He was getting caught by clean shots from Wonderboy, and I just don't think you can afford to do that with Gary. Like you can afford to get caught a couple of times against an aging, backing up Wonderboy. You can't afford to do that with Gary. They're two different beasts, and the ways that they are similar kind of end there, right? So I'm gonna go with Gary. Um, I'm gonna go with Gary by TKO because I'm fucking crazy and I'm going against the grain. Because you know what? If you don't take chances, you don't get nowhere. Finally, the main event: Alexandra Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. I always pick against Pantoja, don't I? I'm always like, this guy. This is the guy that's gonna do it. This is the guy. You don't know, but this guy, this Steve Airseg character. Oh, look. The reason I do that is because Pantoja's in a position where he's so dominant that the UFC is literally signing people from other organizations, from the amateurs, from lesser organizations, from around the world. They're on the phones. Everybody like, listen, we've got this guy. We can't beat him. No one can beat him. Come on, we need someone to come and make flyweights entertaining. And somehow they landed on Kai Asakura. Now I'm fairly sure he was Rising champion. But we say the UFC is the upper echelon, the what's the word? The cream of the crop, if you will, is the expression I was looking for. We say the UFC is the cream of the crop, right? And we kind of prove that every time we sign another guy. I mean, Chandler just got beat a second time by Oliveira for the second time in his UFC career. When you take a guy who's the best in another organization and you put him against the best in the UFC, they don't tend to fare as well as they did in their previous organization. I've been watching some Kai Asakura fights. This is the bit where I tell you Kai Asakura's going to win fucking easily. No. I'm just so you know, I'm picking Pantoja this time. So this is the one time he loses. But I am picking Pantoja this time. I took my chance on Gary. But yeah, he's a dominant champion. He's like ridiculously good. Airseg did do well against him. He did show some holes in the game. I don't know. Kai Asakura looks painfully average sometimes, Like I'm watching his fights and like he's taking chances, but they're also mistakes, right? So like you've got to take a chance to get a win sometimes, but you've got to know when to take that chance. And I feel like Kai Asakura always like maybe hesitates or maybe goes too soon. I don't know, but feels like sometimes he's getting hit when he doesn't need to, or he's getting out pointed or slightly out grappled when he doesn't need to. Right, like he doesn't need that to happen. He could have just played it safer and continued to do his thing, but instead he wanted to try and take a chance. And he's powerful too. So and Asakura, because Pantoja's hittable. Steve Airseg was piecing him up at times, right? Steve Airseg was landing all right shots. Kai Asakura is powerful, right? He could theoretically sting Pantoja. We've gone back to the old gloves, okay? He could theoretically sting Pantoja and get him out of there. I just don't see it happening. So I think Pantoja continues to reign supreme. I apologise for ever picking against you, my lord. No, I'm playing it safe. I'm going to go with Pantoja. I think a Pantoja submission is quite likely. Maybe even quite early on. If the skill disparity? Yeah, disparity, right? If the level of skill is clear, like we think it should be between Ryzen and UFC fighters, then Pantoja wins early. Yeah, pretty simples. But that's gonna be the end for this video. Thank you very much for watching, sticking around all the way until the end. Uh, if you enjoyed the video, go leave it a like, subscribe for more picks. I'm on a roll right now. I'm not like sweeping cards or nothing, but if there's 15 fights, I'm getting 13 right. If there's 15 fights, I'm getting 13, 14 fights. I'm getting 12 fights is like the worst I've done the past couple events. So, there's money to be made here, okay? We ignore the robberies. Anyway, peace and love. I'll see you around. Keep your chin down and keep swinging. What a rambler.